Real attraction doesn't announce itself. It asks you a question. Let that sit for a second, my friends, because if you think love always shows up like a movie scene with violins playing, deep confessions under moonlight, and him blurting out, "I love you," like it's a Disney script, you're missing how men really show they're falling for you. See, love doesn't always speak loud. Sometimes it whispers through a question so subtle, so quiet, you almost miss it. And yet, in that one moment, everything shifts. So stay with me. Because today, we're not just talking about dating advice. We're unpacking truth, psychological, emotional, soul-deep truth. And if you've ever sat there wondering, is he into me? Is he seeing something deeper here? This video is going to answer that in a way that makes the pieces click. Before we dive in, do me a favor. Press that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with a woman you care about. I'm pouring real soul into this. Not fluff, not gimmicks, just grounded insight that'll help you stop settling for maybe and start magnetizing real emotional connection. All right, hey ladies, imagine this. You're sitting across from a man, he's sipping his coffee, laughing, telling stories, the vibe is good, and then out of nowhere, he asks, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" You blink, maybe smile, you think it's small talk. But what just happened? That wasn't a throwaway question. That was a flare from his subconscious. That was his brain saying, "I'm starting to picture you in my future and I need to know if you fit." You see, some questions feel casual, but underneath, they're emotional x-rays. They don't ask for information. They ask for emotional compatibility. They ask, "Can I trust you with my future self?" And here's the part most women never hear. When a man is falling in love, his brain changes. Not figuratively, literally. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for long-term planning, lights up like a city skyline. That means he's not just thinking about tonight. He's not just enjoying your laugh. He's starting to project. He's placing you in future scenarios, checking how it feels. That's what Carl Jung called emotional projection, when the unconscious mind starts moving towards someone without them even realizing it yet. Men do this subtly. They won't say, "I'm picturing us married with 2 kids." No, instead they ask about your dreams, your values, your past, your routines. They check your emotional compass because they're not just falling for your beauty, they're testing the frequency of your soul. And my sisters, if you don't recognize these moments for what they are, you might miss the very doorway to deep love. You might brush off his question like it's casual banter when it's really a neon sign flashing, "I'm opening up. Please don't miss this." Now let me be clear. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about decoding him like a puzzle. This is about you responding like a woman who already knows what she brings to the table. Calm, confident, clear. Because when a man begins to emotionally invest, what pulls him in deeper isn't a perfect answer. It's your grounded energy, your presence, and your authenticity. So here's what we're doing today. We're decoding the 3 questions that almost every man asks when he's silently falling for you. Questions that don't sound romantic on the surface, but underneath, they carry the full weight of emotional vulnerability and psychological investment. This is going to change how you hear him, how you feel his energy, how you show up, because if he's asking these, my friend, he's not just interested, he's imagining you in his story. Let's get into it. Number 1, the first shift from now to future. A man in love doesn't just see your beauty, he starts seeing you in his blueprint. That right there, that's your wake-up call. Because when a man asks, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" you might hear casual curiosity. You might think he's just filling the silence between appetizers and dessert. But my friend, if you lean in, really listen, you'll hear something louder than words, a shift. See, that question isn't just about you. It's about us, about possibility. And more importantly, it's about his brain starting to build a future with someone in it who looks a whole lot like you. Carl Jung called this kind of projection the unconscious mind's way of bringing deeper emotional meaning to the surface. It's future integration. It's the psychological version of pulling up a chair at his emotional table and asking, "Are we building something here or just passing time?" Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a director writing a movie script. He's still in the early stages, plot lines loose, characters half drawn. But suddenly, without even meaning to, he starts writing lines for a character he hasn't even cast yet. The lines just fit her. She's not there, not official, but she's showing up in the story before the credits even roll. That's what happens when a man starts seeing you in his future. You haven't had the talk, you haven't made big plans, but suddenly he's editing the script and your silhouette is appearing in scene after scene. Now here's the tricky part. This is where many women slip. You get asked the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you respond with, I don't know, just seeing what happens. Or maybe, not sure, just vibing through life. And look, I get it. Sometimes that's honest, sometimes that's real, but sometimes it's fear wearing a friendly mask, fear of getting too serious too soon, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of scaring him off. But sis, let me say this with love and clarity. If a man is asking you this question, he's already thinking long term. He's already projecting. He's not asking for perfection. He's asking for alignment. He's asking if your internal compass is even pointing in a direction he can walk toward. And when you dodge, when you stay vague, you're not protecting yourself. You're disconnecting. You're showing him that you're not even sure where you're going. And here's the kicker. A man can't walk toward you if you don't even know where you're standing. This is your magnetic move. Respond with vision, not vagueness. Don't go into a job interview monologue, but don't be afraid to speak clearly. Talk about what lights you up. Talk about what you're building, career, self, family, purpose. Let him see the fire behind your ambition, the softness behind your structure, the woman you're becoming before anyone claps for it. Because the moment you share that vision, something powerful happens. He's not just seeing a woman he likes, he's seeing a partner, someone he could grow with, evolve with, build a life with. You're not just the moment, you become the momentum. And that's unforgettable. And so next time you hear that question, don't brush it off, don't play it cool, step into it with confidence. Because when he sees you owning your direction, he starts to realize she's not just beautiful, she's becoming. And suddenly being part of your 5-year plan becomes the most magnetic possibility of all. Now stay with me because the next question, it's not about your future, it's about his heart. And when a man asks it, he's not just thinking about love, he's ready to feel it. Number 2, when he asks for your truth. A man doesn't ask what you feel unless he's starting to wonder if he's safe in your heart. There's a moment, a quiet one, where he turns to you and asks, what do you feel for me? Not in a dramatic way, not with fireworks, maybe even half laughing, but it slips out, and suddenly everything feels different. My friends, don't let the softness of that moment fool you. That question, that's armor being removed. That's a man standing unguarded in emotional daylight. No shield, no swagger, just truth waiting to be heard. Carl Jung would tell you this is no surface interaction. This is his unconscious cracking through the conditioning, pushing him into a space where vulnerability becomes the test of real connection. Because let's be honest, society hasn't trained men to ask that question. It's trained them to act like they don't care, to stay cool, to keep things casual. But love doesn't ask permission. It asks questions. And when he looks at you, eyes softer than usual, voice just a beat slower, and asks what you feel, what he's really asking is, can I trust you with my real self? Now I know what might pop up in your head. What does he really mean by that? Is he testing me? What if I say too much? But here's the truth. This moment isn't about strategy, it's about substance. He's not looking for the perfect answer. He's looking for a real one. The kind that comes from a woman who knows what she feels, owns it without apology, and speaks it without performance. The magnetic move? Answer with grounded truth. If you're unsure, say so, but say it with warmth. If you're feeling something real, name it gently. Let him see that you can hold space for emotion without losing yourself in it. Because when he asks what you feel, he's not just opening the door to connection, he's offering you a mirror to reflect the emotional depth he's just risked showing. And when you handle that mirror with grace, that's when he knows you're different. Stay with me. Because the next sign shows up in the most ordinary places and means something extraordinary. Number 3, the micro messages that mean everything. Men don't always say, I love you. Sometimes they just check if you've eaten. You've seen it, haven't you? Those small texts. Did you eat? Let me know when you get home. How was your day? Simple, basic, almost forgettable. But don't be fooled. This is not filler conversation. This is emotional currency, my friends, and he's spending it on you. Let me break this down in the way most people never will. When a man is in his feelings but not ready to say the words, he starts showing up in these little ways. Why? Because his unconscious mind is integrating you into his world. Carl Jung would say this is how the psyche processes attachment, through ritual, repetition, and protective instincts. He's placing emotional bookmarks in your life, not because he's trying to control the page, but because he cares that the story continues. And if you brush it off, if you roll your eyes or say, I'm not hungry with a cold tone, you're not just ignoring a question, you're closing a window. Think about it like this. A man's love often whispers while the world is screaming at him to keep quiet. These micro messages, these quiet nudges, are his rebellion against emotional distance. They're his way of saying, I may not know how to show love the way you do, but I'm trying. I'm thinking about you when you're not around. I'm carrying you in the back of my mind even when I'm busy. And I get it. Sometimes after heartbreak or games, these gestures can feel too simple, too soft to trust. You might wonder, is he just being polite or does he say this to everyone? But here's your magnetic move. Respond without overthinking. Acknowledge the care with a smile, with a quick, I did, thanks for checking. And when the moment's right, mirror it. Ask him how his day was. Let him feel your presence even when you're not in the room. It's not about big romantic speeches. It's about quiet consistency, a rhythm that says, we're both still here. And trust me, if he's emotionally invested, he'll feel that echo. These small acts, they stack up. They build trust, intimacy, and yes, real love. Now stay with me because in the next one, he doesn't say anything at all. But the silence, it speaks louder than ever. Number 4, the invitation that isn't just social. You're not just meeting his parents, you're being introduced to his origin story. Now let's talk about that moment, the one that sounds so simple but carries more emotional weight than most women realize. Do you want to meet my family? At first glance, it feels like just another step, right? Like checking a box. But my friends, this is not about Sunday dinner or smiling for pictures. This is about access, not to his house, but to his heart's foundation. Because here's the truth. No man invites you into that space unless something real is unfolding inside of him. Carl Jung would call this the symbolic gateway to his personal mythology. You see, we're not just shaped by who we are today. We're shaped by where we came from. The kitchen table arguments, the quiet father, the overprotective mother, the brother he still competes with, the childhood bedroom full of trophies or silence. That's the room he's inviting you into. Do you want to meet my family? Is another way of asking, are you someone I want to weave into the story I've been writing since I was 5 years old? And it's no small ask. He might act casual. He might shrug it off like it's just a BBQ. But deep down, his nervous system is activated because he knows you're going to see all of him now, not the curated version, the real one, the one that had teenage tantrums, wore braces, and carries emotional scars that still show up when he talks to his dad. And maybe your first instinct is to panic. What if they don't like me? What if I don't fit in? What if I say the wrong thing? But sis, you're not there to impress. You're there to witness. That's your magnetic move. And you don't have to win anyone over or perform like you're on stage. Just show up with grace. Ask questions. Be curious. Feel the moment instead of analyzing it. Because a man who brings you into his home, who lets you walk through the hallways of his history, is silently saying, I want you to see who I really am, and I hope you'll still want to stay. And if you do, if you walk in without fear, without performance, but with presence, he'll never forget that moment because you didn't just meet his family, you entered his world. Next up, what he says without saying anything at all. And trust me, it's the most important question he never speaks. Number 5, the pattern you didn't notice. A man doesn't repeat what doesn't matter to him. Let's slow this down for a second, because if there's one thing most women overlook, not out of neglect, but because life is noisy, it's the quiet pattern, the repetition, the breadcrumb trail he lays down when his heart is testing the path to something deeper. He asks how your meeting went again. He checks in before your flight again. He texts just to say good morning again. And you might think, isn't this just polite? Or worse, is this boring? But listen to me carefully, my friend. A man doesn't repeat what doesn't matter to him, ever. He's not wired that way. Repetition is how his unconscious mind digs for meaning. Carl Jung said it clearly. The psyche repeats what it's trying to understand or attach significance to. So when his words loop, when his care shows up not once, but every day in small ways, that's not laziness, it's emotional intent. It's like this. Imagine you're walking through a forest and someone is leaving breadcrumbs for you to follow. Not one or two, but a steady trail, day after day. That's what these consistent, unprompted questions are. Little emotional breadcrumbs. And if you slow down enough to follow them, they lead somewhere real. But here's where many women unintentionally slip. They brush them off. They answer on autopilot. Fine, busy, same old. And they miss what's underneath, the fact that he's checking for closeness. He's asking, are we still emotionally tethered? Every single time he reaches out with something that looks like just checking in. That's your magnetic move. Don't overdo it. Don't start scripting poetic responses to how's your day. Just respond with presence. Be consistent back. Let him know that his emotional rhythm isn't going unheard. Let him trust the echo. Because trust isn't built in one grand gesture. It's built in these repeated, quiet moments where two people learn how to feel safe in each other's presence, over and over again. And here's the kicker. If he's asking without needing a prompt, if he's consistent without you chasing, that's not a man playing games. That's a man building something. Now stay with me, because next we're talking about what it means when his voice goes quiet, but the connection only gets louder. Number 6. When he shifts from pleasure to purpose. When a man is thinking long-term, he starts checking for foundation, not just fireworks. Attraction might start with sparks, but real love? That's built on something way deeper than chemistry. Ladies, if you notice him suddenly shifting the conversation from what's fun this weekend to what you believe in, what matters to you, what your non-negotiables are in life, that's not small talk. That's soul talk. When a man starts asking about your values, how you see family, what you stand for, how you handle conflict, how you make decisions, that's a clear sign his heart is moving from pleasure to purpose. He's not just wondering if you make him feel good. He's wondering if you could build a life together. As Jung taught us, our values aren't just preferences. They're the symbols we anchor our identity to. So when he asks about them, he's essentially asking, are we speaking the same emotional language? Can we live in the same belief system? Think of it like this. He's not looking for the brightest spark anymore. He's looking for the fuse that won't burn out halfway through the journey, the kind of bond that endures, evolves, and withstands the pressure of time, not just the passion of the moment. Now here's where you step into your magnetic power. Your move is not to shift yourself to match his answers. This isn't an audition. This is alignment. Speak your truth calmly, clearly, without apology. Whether your values are traditional or spiritual, freedom-driven or family-centered, own them. Why? Because the right man, the man who's starting to fall for the real you, isn't looking for perfection. He's listening for honesty, for consistency, for depth. When you share your values with no performance, no second guessing, just truth, something extraordinary happens. You stop being someone he's just curious about and start becoming someone he can trust. And remember, fireworks fade, foundations don't. Stay with me. Because next, we explore the moment his heart drops its guard completely and asks the most vulnerable question of all. Number 7, the courage of emotional mapping. If he's asking where you've been, he's trying to decide if he's ready to walk with you. Ladies, there's a moment, quiet but powerful, when a man moves past surface curiosity and starts asking about your past. Not just what happened, but what shaped you. Not just the breakup, but what you learned. That moment is sacred. Don't miss it. Because here's the truth, when a man is falling for you, really falling, he doesn't just want your highlight reel. He wants to know where the shadows live, where the lessons came from, where the healing began. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. He's not trying to judge your path. He's checking if he can walk beside it. Think of it like this. He's holding a map. And before he decides to take the journey, he wants to understand the terrain, the cliffs, the turns, the storms you survived, not to turn back, but to walk with more awareness, more respect, more presence. And I get it. You might wonder, is this too much? Will he leave if I tell him the truth? Should I just smile and keep it light? But here's the magnetic move. Don't perform. Don't overshare from an open wound, and don't undershare from fear. Instead, share from the healed places, from the woman who's done the inner work, from the soul who's not looking for rescue, but partnership. You're not a project. You're not broken. You are a mosaic of wisdom, strength, softness, and survival. And the right man, he's not afraid of your past. He's afraid of missing out on the woman it created. And so the next time he asks, what happened in your last relationship? Or what did that time teach you? Pause. Don't rush. Don't dramatize. Just own your journey with grace. That's how you go from interesting to unforgettable. Because real intimacy, it's not built in the good days, it's built in the brave conversations. And next, we step into the ultimate signal that his heart is opening and his future might already have your name written in it. Stay with me. Number 8, the unspoken declaration. The deepest questions are sometimes asked through silence and answered through presence. There comes a moment, my friends, when the questions stop being spoken, but they don't stop being asked. That's when everything changes. You're sitting next to him. He says nothing, but the silence is heavy, alive. He looks at you a little longer. His energy softens or sharpens. He's not looking for the right words anymore, because the question is now in the space between you. Carl Jung called nonverbal communication the unconscious in full expression. In other words, when he can't say it, his soul might be saying it for him. You've probably felt it. That sudden stillness when you're laughing, and then his gaze lingers just a beat too long. The subtle shift in tone when he says your name. The way he exhales when you walk into the room, like something inside him just unclenched. And you wonder, what is he thinking? What is he trying to say? But maybe the better question is, what is he trying to feel? Because here's the truth. At a certain depth of connection, language gets clumsy. The most profound things aren't said in perfect lines. They're said in breath, in eye contact, in a moment of quiet that says, I see you, I'm here, I'm feeling something real, and I don't want to ruin it by naming it too soon. So what's the magnetic move when this happens? You don't try to fill the silence. You don't ask, what's wrong? You don't over-explain yourself to keep things from getting awkward. No, you read the room, not the script. You feel instead of fix. You let your feminine energy hold the space like a warm, steady flame. You let your presence say, I feel it too, and I don't need to rush it. Because in those moments, he's not testing your mind. He's testing your energy, your ability to stay with the feeling instead of scrambling for control. And if you can do that, if you can be still while his heart speaks without sound, you become unforgettable. That, my friends, is when he realizes you're not just someone who looks good on his arm. You're someone who knows how to listen with your whole being. And trust me, that kind of presence, it's rare, it's radiant, and it pulls a man in deeper than any words ever could. So here's what it all comes down to, my friends. When a man starts asking questions with words or without, he's revealing more than curiosity. He's revealing intention. These aren't just random moments, they're emotional checkpoints. And how you respond can either invite him deeper or send him back into the surface level world. So if this video opened your eyes, press that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with a woman who feels something real but needs help naming it. Stay magnetic, stay grounded, and remember, you don't chase what's meant for you. You attract it by being you.